Hi, my name is Grace and I am the Country Director of Resource Global Indonesia. I grew up in the States. When I was 12 years old, my parents brought me to Indonesia, and that was a big culture shock for me. I learned the language, was starting to learn about the culture, and I was in Indonesia until I was in high school, and afterwards I went back to the States for college. Studied pre-med in the University of Michigan, and then came back to Indonesia, worked at a hospital for about 3 years, realized that that wasn't for me, and over a lot of other jobs, here I am in Resource Global. So that's a nutshell of my life. Right now I am married, 12 years with 2 kids. Yeah, there are many events I feel like that shaped my life, my spiritual life, who I am today. But I can think of 2 events that really shaped my ministry and my faith. The first one is when I first transitioned into being a college student. I had a lot of pride coming in as a high school graduate into college. My scores were pretty decent in high school. I had pretty good friends in high school, so I thought everything would be smooth sailing when I moved to college. But during the first 6 months in college, my world was rocked. And I tried to do everything correctly, but everything was just not working out the way I planned it to be. My social life, my academic life, my weight. I was putting on so much weight, yet I was working out, so I had no idea what was going on. During the first 2 weeks of college, there was this girl that approached me to join her church. And at that time, I was looking for a church. But because over the next few months, so many things were just going a little crazy, like falling out of place, I rejected her like over and over and over again, but she just kept coming and inviting me to life group, inviting me to grab coffee, inviting me to go to fellowship and worship nights. And after a few months, I was at the end of myself when it came to my academics, my social life, and I felt like there was nothing, I don't know, I had nothing else to lose. And so one Friday night, she was like, hey, come to worship night. I did not respond to her, but I showed up. And I remember once the songs came on, I did not know what song it was, but I just started crying. And it was in that moment when I realized I was really trying to build my own kingdom, my own empire. And I think it was in that moment when I realized, true life is about building God's kingdom, and it's about making His name known. And so from that point forward, I started dedicating my studies, my friendships, my ministries all back to God. And so that was one big turning point that really shaped my faith, understanding my brokenness and living out of that. And from that point forward, I decided to join a small group, and that was where my love for community started. So that was one event that really shaped me. One other event was when I transitioned into motherhood. That was also a time where I had no clue what was going on with myself. I did not know when to eat, when to sleep. Yeah, I just had to figure myself out all over again. And I remember that time I felt so lonely, and I was just like, I really need someone that's supportive to help me get through this transition. And also during that time, I really felt God's pull to it was like a reminder of the community I had when I was in college, and to revive that back in this season. And so, long story short, I started with two other girls that were in transition into getting married. I had my first child, they just got married. And slowly those 3 women became a group of 6 women, became a group of 12 women, and at the end of the year it became 25 women that were all in transition together. And so that was another point in my life where I was reminded, like, when we feel like we have nothing left to give, I think that's when God's miracles can start. I felt like I had nothing left to give in those 2 seasons of my life, but that was when God showed me, like, I can do a lot through you if you just surrender to me. So. I feel like Drew, I'm not sure if that's like the accurate term, because I feel like Resource Global found me. And so during the time, I think it was just a divine moment of how I got connected to Tommy Lee, the president of Resource Global. Kind of prior to meeting him, my heart was just really sold out for community and for leadership. And so when I met Tommy, he was explaining about Resource Global, and to be honest, I really wasn't sure entirely what Resource Global was, but the 2 words he said was impacting the next generation of leaders through community and mentoring. So that's the 3rd word. But those three words really resonated with me, and I knew that those were three things that I wanted to commit in growing in my life. Yeah, and so that's how I kind of committed to Resource Global. And I'll tell you, I've been in Resource Global for 6 going on 7 years, and it's been an amazing journey. Just because I am, staff, the director of Resource Global, doesn't mean that I don't grow. I feel like I've grown leaps and bounds along with each cohort that passed through Resource Global. So it's been an amazing journey. What keeps me motivated is knowing that I am part of something bigger than me. It's really funny because, with social media, we make everything about us. Look at what I've done, look at what I've achieved, look at how many followers I have. But what truly motivates me is knowing that I am part of something greater. Knowing that when I know that I'm part of something greater, there is a mission when I wake up every day. And we throw around words like purpose, security, peace, clarity. And I think all of these words can be achieved when you know what your mission is in life. And when you understand that your mission is part of this greater plan of what God's doing in the world, that just adds so much intentionality to why we do what we do. It adds so much intentionality towards the relationships that we have, the words that we speak, the work that we do. For me personally, I am so big on self-awareness, and I'm so big on emotional health. I think those are 2 big things that I hope to bring up in my conversation with each and every cohort member. Maybe it's not limited to Indonesia, but maybe just in Asian culture in general. We are not taught to express our emotions. We're just not taught to express our emotions, period. And I just want to introduce a new way of leading where we are vulnerable, where we are open about, hey, this is hard and let's figure this out together. To be able to speak in that kind of way instead of, you know what, I'm hurt and I'm just gonna, put all my anger on my team. I would love to encourage each and every cohort member to really look at their emotions with curiosity, and instead of kind of reacting to it, asking yourself, what are my emotions telling me about myself in this current season of life? And so those 2 things are some things I hope to have, some conversations I hope to have with each cohort. Things about self-awareness, learning about yourself, knowing about yourself, and emotional health. My hope for the cohort in Indonesia is for each and every person to really find clarity in where God wants them to be in this current season of life, and take that clarity and piece that together with knowing that they are part of something big that God's doing, not just in Indonesia, but globally in the whole world. I feel like when we live with that kind of perspective, there is a humbleness, there is a sense of, I get to be part of this. There's a sense of mission, there's a sense of just intentionality. And so that is one posture that I hope that the cohort will gain as they just journey through Resource Global. One thing that I've seen in this year's cohort is that, and each cohort is very different. Last year we've had a lot of artistic people, I think, that joined, not everyone, but a big chunk of the people that came were in the art world. This year, there are a lot of people in the finance and business, which is really interesting because I think God moves in different ways and in different spheres throughout each year. And it seems like God's doing something big in the area of finance. I'm not sure if it has to do with crypto and NFTs, but I think God is saying something about the stewardship of money, about knowing that money can do something to your faith. You can use it to expand God's kingdom, or you can use it to expand your own kingdom. And so I know that God is moving somehow in the area of finance within this cohort, but we're praying for God to really use each and every person in this cohort.